Hey everyone. So we know that 2022 had some games that really weren't up to snuff, but I have come up with a list of games that you need to play from 2022. So let's talk about it. Now, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We mostly talk about Xbox stuff, but I do dabble in other gaming related topics. And I'm really trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark, so that way I could start my OnlyFans and start selling feet pics. So if you guys are interested, be wary of that drop. Once we get to 1,000, OnlyFans is coming out. And today we're going to talk about some of the games from 2022 that you need to play. And I'm going to give you 5. Yep, that's right. Only 5. That's it. No more. That's it. Okay, all right. Maybe 7. I'll do 7. And that's pushing it, all right? All right, fine. 9. You'll get 9 games. You know what? 5. That's it. There you go. 5 games that I think you need to play, but I'll do you one better, and I'll give you some honorable mentions of games you should have played in 2022. Now, I want to tell you that I just recently started my channel, and what's crazy about this is, even though I'm doing this as a side thing, I've actually played more games because of my channel than I did without it. So there's a lot of games that are going to be missing from this list. Things like Horizon, which I did not get to play. Maybe Tiny Tina's Wonderland, didn't play that. Didn't play any of the big AAA games in the earlier half of the year. And that's my bad. I'm sorry, I didn't have the channel yet. And also there's some games on the Switch that you might expect to be on here that I just don't play, just because I am not a Nintendo guy. So if you're mad about that, feel free to make your own list. It doesn't have to be games that just come out in 2022. It can also be games that you have played in 2022. So games from 2010 or whatever it may be, games that you've experienced for the first time in 2022. Drop that in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. Honorable mentions. Let's get into it. Nobody Saves the World. So Nobody Saves the World was a surprise to me. This was a game that me and my buddy picked up, and because of Game Pass, we're able to experience it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Now, this is a game that I'm not typically a fan of, where you just kind of do dungeon crawling, and that's about it. And you just do different builds to see how you could get through different dungeons, and it forces you to play differently majority of the time based off of the certain requirements of the dungeon. And me and my friend actually were able to beat this game all the way through, got most of the achievements except for beating it through New Game Plus. But yeah, it was a great addition to Game Pass, and actually it was on my 5th spot, but one of the games replaced it. The Artful Escape. Now, this is another indie artsy fartsy type game, but I gotta tell you that if you have an OLED screen, this thing does wonders. There is some really beautiful imagery in this game that really makes your OLED flex its muscles and show you what an HDR TV and the OLED can truly do. And it is a great way to show off your TV, or to even use it as a way to kind of adjust your TV to all those different colors. Now, the game itself is kind of bland, and it's just kind of a game that you just hold the right stick and just keep moving forward and jumping over obstacles and stuff. But it's a quick game, and it's easy 1,000 if you're interested. A Memoir Blue. Now, this is another game that I was able to play because of Game Pass, and this game was a game that I heard was very easy, that you could get done within 1 to 2 hours depending on your play style. And it is just a very strong narrative focused game, and it is a very emotional game at that. And it was definitely a surprise to me about how emotional this game was actually going to hit, and I didn't expect that. So I highly recommend playing this game, not just for the achievements, but for a great story along with it. And that's always a great 2 things in my opinion. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Now, this is a great throwback to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time. This is a great arcade cabinet game back in the 90s, and I think this is a great predecessor. This is a great way to pay tribute to that wonderful game. And again, me and a couple of friends ran through this game really quickly. It's not too long. but it had fun just trying different builds, trying different characters, and yeah, it was on Game Pass. So again, another Game Pass win for 2022. This upcoming game is probably going to surprise you, but Power Wash Simulator was a freaking blast, and no pun intended there, but this game had me hooked. I'm not a fan of these simulators whatsoever. I've never got into them. I've never really got the idea of them, just because I might as well just go do whatever it is that I'm doing in real life instead. But this one was so addicting, and I think it's because of my OCD that I just had to clean everything and make sure that everything was spotless. And this really took me hours and hours to complete, but it was well worth it, and I hope they come out with the sequel, because I will be buying that day one just to be able to play this again. Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels. Now this is just an expansion, but it's a great addition to an already amazing game. In fact, Forza Horizon 5 was my game of the year for 2021. Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels does nothing but wonders when you get dropped off into that new area, and you get to see that classic orange plastic and drive those awesome looking Hot Wheels cars. And it was just a great addition, and I am super excited to see what else comes to Forza with their next expansion. But Playground Games is never let me down. Somerville. So this game just dropped into Game Pass with no hype whatsoever, and it kind of just sizzled out. Now this is a wonderful game, and again, it's only a 3 to 4 hour experience, but it is easy achievement points if you're interested in any of that. And this game is another artsy type game where it's kind of up to your interpretation of the events that happen in this game. Now it's very easy to determine what that is based off of the material that you're playing, but the meaning behind all of that is really what you have to decide for yourself. And so with that experience and it being kind of short, I really recommend this game. And it's, again, one of those limbo/inside games. This was up there on one of my most anticipated, along with Replaced. Sadly, Somerville kind of missed it a little bit, but I think Replaced is really going to knock it out of the park whenever that does release. So finally, that was it. Those were the honorable mentions. And so those games did not make my list. And the only one that got knocked off there was Nobody Saves the World. And these 5 games on my list, I'm going to tell you right now, are my games. This is my list, and I just want to again reiterate that I really would appreciate you guys to drop your guys' list in the comment section below. So with that, let's get started with the 5 games you need to play in 2022. With number 5, High on Life. High on Life came out of nowhere. This was a game that I was really looking forward to, but Microsoft did something that a lot of people didn't expect, which is not market this thing whatsoever. And because of the likes of influencers and TikTok, this thing blew up, and it was actually the biggest third-party launch ever in the Game Pass service. That is crazy how big that is. That is bigger than MLB The Show. That's how big this game is. The thing about High on Life is that I highly recommend playing this game, only because you really don't get a good feel of whether or not this game will be your cup of tea unless you experience it for yourself, because of the fact that this comedy is only for specific people. So if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, then this is definitely up your alley. If you've never watched Rick and Morty, this is a good place to finally get to decide whether or not you'd be into that sort of comedy. And that, I think, is the strongest suit for this game, because the game really is a weak game on its own. I feel like the shooting mechanics are very old. The way you progress through the story is very linear, and I think a lot of what this game is relies on the comedic effect, the writing, and the guns that are constantly talking. I think those are the very unique things about this game, and that's what really drove me to play it. There was times where the jokes weren't hitting for me, and that's something that you would have to determine on your own whether or not you should walk away or continue on with the game. And during those points, I ended up walking away, but coming back with a fresh mind, I was able to still enjoy most of these jokes and it was just a great time with that. Now, I had some issues with it that are kind of the reason why it's lower on the list. Some of the achievements weren't popping correctly, and some of them are going to have me go through it a second time and potentially even a third time because of how buggy these achievements are, which I probably won't be doing. But it was a great time and a great way to end off the year. Number 4 is A Plague Tale Requiem. Now, I played A Plague Tale Innocence back when it launched on Game Pass, and I was blown away by this game. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. And so I had a lot of high expectations going into A Plague Tale Requiem because of that. And because of those high expectations, I think I was let down a little bit based off of how they decided to do the story, and I was kind of a little bit bummed by the puzzle mechanics in the game. It's very simple. They're just move this box and then climb it, and that was pretty much all of the puzzles, or light this torch over here. So there was really no thought into any of it. But if you watch my review on it, I do a lot of shit talking about this game, but I think that it was actually a truly phenomenal game and a great way to end this duology. And it's a great companion piece to A Plague Tale Innocence. And the acting is superb. The way the game looks is absolutely stunning, and it's really one of those next-gen games that finally have reached the consoles. And I'm really glad to see the end of what Hugo and Amicia have to offer in the story. Number 3 is God of War Ragnarok. Now, God of War Ragnarok was not as good as God of War 2018 in my opinion. Now, I played God of War 2018 for the first time this year in preparation for God of War Ragnarok, because I never was ever able to play God of War. So this was my first time playing that one, and I was blown away by that. I think that God of War 2018 is one of the best games I've ever played. I think the story is really, really great, and a lot of what made it great is the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, and that's what I was looking forward to in God of War Ragnarok. But for some reason, the way they decided to go out with the trajectory of the story in God of War Ragnarok was trying to separate Kratos and Atreus as much as they could, resulting in them being separated most of the game, which is not what I signed up for, which is not what I was looking forward to. Despite that, this game improves upon the original a lot, and I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate them upgrading the combat and making it more fun than it was previous, which I didn't think would be possible. They really did a great job on upgrading the exploration element to it and allowing you to actually go through all those realms and be able to explore, unlike the first one, which you only really spent most of your time in Midgard. And just how beautiful this game is. It is phenomenal. Looks great on PlayStation 5. The downside being just the story, but if you have played God of War 2018, you have to play this just so that way they can tie that nice little bow on this journey of Kratos and Atreus. And now I just am wondering what they're going to do moving forward with this franchise, if they're going to go to a different mythos or if they're going to continue with what's already going on there. It'd be interesting to see where they take it. And it's just another hit, another great addition to the PlayStation library. Number 2. All right, hold your horses here. And I know you're probably going to be super upset because how is number 2 higher than number 3? But number 2 is Grounded. Yeah, Grounded, I think, is the number 2 spot over God of War Ragnarok. And let me explain this before we get too far into why I think that is. I think of it like this. You watch The Godfather and you could tell me that The Godfather is one of the greatest movies of all time, and I would agree with you. I think that The Godfather is one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest movie of all time. And that is a pretty good movie. Now, if you told me, hey, I'm going to have a watch party of The Godfather, am I going to go to that? No, I'm not going to go to that. I'm not going to sit there for 3.5 hours watching The Godfather while you just sit there and just absorb all of it. Despite it being one of the best movies of all time, I'm not going to do that. But if you tell me that, hey, we're going to have a watch party for Transformers, I will be there. I'm not saying Transformers is a better movie. than The Godfather? Not at all. I don't think that at all. Do I have more fun watching Transformers than I do The Godfather? Yep, and that's what I'm talking about with Grounded. Grounded was a blast, and I did not expect that. I played the alpha back when they first launched it 2 years ago, and I was just kind of underwhelmed by it. I was like, all right, this isn't really my cup of tea. But when they had the full launch with the whole game, I was just lost in this world. I was lost in the backyard, and me and my friend spent hours upon hours doing literally everything you can in this game, trying to get the best weapons, trying to kill the hardest enemies, and trying to figure out how to spawn the brood mother, and building our base, and trying to make pets. And I had a pet aphid. His name was Daphid, so rest in peace to Daphid the aphid. He was a great pet. But that Grounded game really took me by storm, and I am not a survival type of gamer. I hate survival games, including things like Minecraft. I just do not have the creativity and the withdrawal to be able to pour all of my time into finding resources and trying to survive. But this game just changed something in me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it caught me at a weird time in my life, but me and my friend had an absolute blast playing this. And if you could get multiple people playing, the more the merrier, because it is just a great time. There's so much fun to be had. There's so much laughs to be had while you're exploring the backyard and fighting all of those crazy insects. And I never truly felt more scared in a video game than I did with Grounded, walking around at night by myself and hearing the creatures in the background and them breaking through the grass. It was an amazing time, and I really do hope that the success of Grounded allows Obsidian to continue to build upon the backyard, either through DLC or through a sequel. Now, they have stated that they have no plans in the future to continue with this, but with the success of how Grounded did on Game Pass and hopefully the Netflix adaptation, they will go in and add some more stuff. And if they do, I am all for it. I will be there because that game was such a blast. So number one is Elden Ring. Elden Ring is number one, and I think I have Elden Ring as number one for a different reason than most people. And the reason why I have Elden Ring as number one is because it made me go back and play Dark Souls for the first time ever. That's right. I have never played a Souls game from beginning to end at all my whole entire life. I have dabbled in them as like a gimmick with friends, trying to see how far you can get without dying or whatever. But I've never truly embraced what the Souls games were like. And Elden Ring really got me into that. Now, if you know me personally, I didn't have my channel up during this time, but I did play Elden Ring along with millions of other people. And this game took the industry by storm. And everybody was talking about it. Everyone that I work with was talking about this. But me, myself, I was not a big fan of it. I enjoyed it. I know it's a good game, but I was just kind of tired of the repetitive nature of the dungeons, of the creatures, of the fact that there is no real narrative. Now, you could say that there is a narrative and it's the underlining of the game, or you have to look through the lore, or you have to see the visual cues. And I get that 100%. And honestly, I'm too stupid to go into all that. I need a straightforward narrative. I don't need it to be spoon-fed for me, but a narrative that is easy to follow, I really do appreciate. And that was not the case with this. So because of my first introduction to Elden Ring and all of the mechanics of what makes Souls games so good, I was overwhelmed by this. And so I wanted to fully appreciate what this game was. So I decided to go back and play Dark Souls. And I have not played any of the other Dark Souls. I haven't played Dark Souls 2, I haven't played Dark Souls 3, and I haven't played Sekiro or Demon Souls at all. I've only played the first Dark Souls. And let me tell you, I have played the first Dark Souls 5 times this year. That game was so fun. That game was one of the best games I've ever played. It is a 10 out of 10 game. I love Dark Souls. And it's all because of Elden Ring. And that's why Elden Ring is my number one. But also, the other reason why Elden Ring is my number one is because of the impact on the industry that this game has and the potential impact that it has. This is a game that people were actually talking about. This is a game that people that normally don't talk about video games were coming together and kind of talking about, hey, I went over here. Have you been here? Hey, have you seen this? Hey, what's going on over here? Hey, I'm having trouble with this. Do you want to come join my game? These were all conversations that I was having with my friends at work because it just took the industry by storm. And I'm so glad that it did. And a lot of people were kind of talking shit about this game because of the fact that it didn't have a UI, that it wasn't really narratively focused and that you kind of just wandered around. But I think that's what is really important about this game, is that this game truly took what it means to be an open world game and to allow you to pretty much go into the world and do it how you want to do it. Yes, they have little tiny ways of trying to guide you the best way they can through the story and through the end game, but there's so much more to it than just that at all. You can play the whole game and still experience different things each time, and there's still people finding things that they never found before in Elden Ring to this day. So I want to be able to have the industry be able to move forward and kind of take that and run with it. Take the fact that we don't need a map, we don't need a compass and all this UI elements and just all this distraction. What we need is a way for us to go and explore and make our own adventure. And I think that a lot of game designers are afraid that you're going to miss out on some of the stuff that they spend a lot of time on and a lot of hard work on. And I understand that, but you got to put faith in the gamers, and Elden Ring did exactly that. And it really, really appreciated you as a person, as an individual, and the fact that they know that you're not stupid and you can get through the game if you decide to get through the game, which is awesome. And if you are struggling, of course there's guides, of course there's other ways of figuring it out, but the best way to figure it out was by talking about it with people, by talking about it with friends. This reminded me of the old days, the old days back in my day. This reminds me of being on the playground and talking about Halo with people and trying to figure out what the flood was and trying to figure out where the Covenant came from and things like that, where you, on the playground, you're talking about secrets that you found and how to beat this boss. And we don't really get that much these days because of the fact that we have the internet now and we can just look anything up. But at work, it engrossed everyone in the conversation, and that is why Elden Ring is my number one game that is needed to be played from 2022. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below about your guys' top 5 games of 2022. And again, it doesn't have to be those big AAA games. All my list were pretty much indie games, since that's the only games I really had time to play. And a lot of it was from Game Pass, because Game Pass is a great tool to utilize in order to play a lot of these games. So, but it doesn't have to be any of that. It could be big budget indie. It could be games that you play for the first time. It doesn't even have to be games that actually released this year. But I would really appreciate you guys letting me know. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. My channel has gotten a lot of views recently, and I really do appreciate everyone who has clicked. And I can't tell you enough how much I have so much gratitude towards all of you guys. So thank you. So if you guys are interested in subscribing, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. Remember, take it easy.